do this here. Oh, that kind of works. Hello, and welcome back to another reading vlog. It's amazing what you can get done before 1. It is 1 o'clock now, and I have already had a meeting. I've had therapy. I've filmed a video for my main channel. I've made several thumbnails. I made myself a nourishing lunch and am now out and about, or I'm about to head out to a coffee shop so I can work on some laptop stuff. Right now I am reading Sea of Tranquility. I've only read like 10 pages. I started the book when I was still in Germany, and then traveling and all of that just kind of threw me off. Yeah, but obviously I need to work a little more today, and then this afternoon, maybe if the weather gets a little better, I will work or I'll read a little in a park, or I'll just read at home. We shall see. So that's the plan for now. Let me give you an update on where I am in the book. I am about like halfway through, so I think I'm on page like 98 or something, and the book has like 210 pages or something. What I didn't know is that in this book there's kind of like an homage to that other story, but you don't necessarily have to have read The Glass Hotel to understand this one. So it's just like, it's in the same world. So the way this story is told is we have different chapters where we're following different people in completely different times. So it starts out with a chapter about like a wealthy Englishman who's basically exiled by his family to Canada. He's not the firstborn child, so he doesn't get the big estate. So they're like, well, then go to Canada, here's tons of money, and then do something over there. Try to make a name of yourself, basically. So that's how it started. But then like through time, we go through different points in time, and we're following different characters. And I personally love books like that. I love multiple POV, multiple timeline books. That is like absolutely my thing. So I'm slowly getting the idea of how these stories are connected. There's like a character that shows up in each of these stories that's just kind of interested in like random things. I'm not gonna say more than that because I don't want to spoiler, but yeah, I'm slowly seeing like some connection between the different times, and yeah, if it's going the way that I think it's going, then this might be pretty cool. What I also found kind of intriguing is that one of the storylines is quite far in the future, and you can already see that in the front, so that's not a spoiler, but I think it's like 2200. And I always find speculative fiction very interesting just because you're going off of trends, what you see right now. For example, there's this like little subtle hint, or not subtle, but there's like, yeah, the Republic of Texas is then in this book, and you're like, oh yeah, okay. So you're taking up these like hints of your time and then thinking about like what could that look like in the future. So now I will show you the books that I picked up. I picked up 3 books at Boswell Books, or Boswell Books. The first one is People from My Neighborhood. This is the same author that wrote or is writing the Before the Coffee Gets Cold series, and I'm super interested in Before the Coffee Gets Cold. However, they were sold out, that specific copy, and the other 2 are part of the series of that, and so I wanted to definitely read Before the Coffee Gets Cold before I read more in the series. I picked up this book by the author because it also sounded really nice. And it seems to be a short story collection of this child, basically, that lives in a neighborhood and then tells these stories about their neighbors. Now, the next book that I picked up is All This Could Be Different. All This Could Be Different. Honestly, I really like the cover of this book. I mean, just take a minute to look at this beautiful cover. I don't know, I really like this cover. It was in the recommended section, so what this bookstore really had is a really nice, really great recommendation section, and I really appreciate that because I'm always totally overwhelmed if I'm just like in the fiction shelves and I just have like hundreds of books in front of me. I'm just like, how am I supposed to pick something from this? So I really appreciate that. And this book is actually set in Milwaukee. And because I am in Milwaukee and my family's from Milwaukee, I just kind of had to pick this up. I felt like, you know what, I wanted to do this. Seems to be somewhere between contemporary and literary fiction about young woman who's just graduated from school and is like starting her first job and is kind of disillusioned, and I don't know, feels like something that I could relate to as I have just graduated from that, in combination with this beautiful cover, yeah, made me grab it. So then I have one other book over here that is called Choosing Family, and this is a memoir. Haven't heard of this before, and I really enjoy memoirs, and it's of a queer mother. So this is about a queer person, a queer black person who adopted a child with her partner, and she basically talks about the intersection of being black, of being queer, of having adopted a child in a queer relationship, and what that is all about. And I'm super excited to get into this. I'm very into memoirs, so I hope this will be a good one. I also picked up from Barnes & Noble the other day Yellowface. This is the same author that wrote Babel, and I absolutely loved Babel, and I think I want to do a complete separate reading vlog just on Babel. So when I heard that she had just published a new book, I was like, I am here for it. And yes, my wallet is crying. I finished The Sea of Tranquility. Did I finish this in a day? I guess so. You know how some books you just read, and you read the story, and some books give you a feeling, like you can feel them. And so with some books, when I think back to them, I remember, I don't always remember the details, but I remember the feeling that they gave me when I was reading them. And this is definitely one of those books. I loved it in like a calm, not so obsessive way. It's not an action-packed book. It's just a very beautiful book. It does also deal with pandemics, like as a larger theme. That was kind of interesting to see that reflected, because we obviously just went through a pandemic and just, we're starting to come out through the other side of it, and it's definitely not going to be the last for humanity. I find that Emily St. John Mandel really hit the tone of that. I don't know, I felt so seen in how I felt in lockdown and how draining it was, even though at the same time we didn't really do much. So this is kind of amazing because this is basically a daily vlog where I read the whole book. So I think what I'm going to do is I will start another book. I'm not sure if I want to do that tonight because it's already 9:20 and I'm kind of tired, so I think I'm just going to watch some shows and chill, and then tomorrow I will start another book. I definitely love the feeling that I have with this book. So, good morning. It is now Friday, and I just got ready. I did some editing this morning on the couch, but I was just super couch potato-y, and now I was finally like, you know what, I need to get ready for the day and put on my face and everything. I am going to meet my uncle for lunch. He just had a doctor's appointment, and I think he kind of wants to talk about it. So until he suggests something, I'm just gonna finish up some things quick. And then I think what I would like to start today is Yellowface. I've been intrigued by this book from the beginning. I just absolutely loved Babel, and I'm just in awe of this author because she is doing a PhD, writing books on the side that are absolute bestsellers, and yeah, in awe of this person. So I think I'm gonna start this book today. So that is also on my list. So, I have things to show you. I thought I would show you some Whole Foods, what I got there. It's not that exciting, but whatever. I also have some books to show you because at lunch, I told my uncle about Boswell books, I don't know exactly how to pronounce it. And he was like, oh my God, I haven't browsed in a bookshop forever. So we kind of decided that after lunch we would go there together and just browse around, and he didn't really find anything, but I did, of course. So I found two books. For one, I found The Endless Vessel. I mean, this is just Such a pretty cover. Look at that. It was 20% off because it was like on their Boswell's Best list, and then also it is a signed first edition. So I was like, yeah, you know what? That's not a bad deal. And it sounds really cool. And the second thing was actually a nice little surprise, and this is The Silence of the Girls. I actually have this as a paperback at home, and I've started reading it, but I never ended up finishing it because I was in the middle of writing my thesis and it was just a drama. But I already felt that I would absolutely love the book. Books that I love, I really like to have the hardbacks, and I found a hardback of The Silence of the Girls, and it was secondhand, so it was only $10. So I was like, yes, I am here for this. But it's a very pretty cover. It has like this beautiful little drape. I don't know, it just... What did I get from Whole Foods? Not that many exciting things. I got some veggies, basically. Usually when I make stuff here, I'm just like, cut up some veggies, and so funny. And some green beans. So I have some veggies to just like fry in a pan when I feel like it. And I also got some dips, because what I really like to do is take sliced bread and then either put hummus on it. So this is the roasted garlic hummus from Whole Foods. Or I like to put the guacamole on there and then put an egg on top of that. So I'm a very simple person. So if I have some fairly good bread and then just have a nice little plant-based spread and then just put an egg on top of that or some veggies, I'm pretty happy. And then also, because what I love doing when I come back to the States is I love trying different sodas. And I also found this in the poppy aisle, because poppies are quite expensive. So I was like, do I really want to get more poppy soda? I don't know. And then I saw this. This is Zevia. I don't know this brand, but it is zero sugar soda, and it's a ginger ale. And I love ginger ale, so I was like, you know what? I'm going to try this, and I will taste test this later. My mom's old high school. Is this a better frame? It's hard to tell. Now it is 10:20. I actually wanted to leave a little earlier, but I was on the phone with my boyfriend, and I'm now going to go to the 3rd Ward in Milwaukee, which is like an industrial part of town that was like redone, and it looks really nice. There's a running store there because I need some new running shoes, and I think they do like those analysis things where they like look at how you run and then pick a shoe based on that's really good for you. So we're gonna head over there, and then at 12:30 I will pick up my uncle to go pick up some subs, and then we'll go visit my other uncle at his house, and that's the plan for today. And then this evening, I don't know, we'll see what I'll do. It is now already Sunday. Now begins the evening, and I think I feel like reading again. I'm going to read Yellowface, but I took it out of its jacket because that's how I prefer to read. I've started listening to Harry Potter ASMRs through my noise-canceling headphones because, as you can probably hear, that AC unit is really loud. So ASMR over the TV just doesn't sound very nice, so I'm going to set up my computer, get some ASMR going there, and then we will read. Hello and good morning. I had a really nice reading session last night. I'm already like 110 pages in. I have to say I am absolutely hooked. Let me go get the book. I need to start working in a second, but I'll tell you about the book beforehand. What I then also kind of noticed, which I think is kind of cheeky, this book has, it has the yellow jacket on it, and then when you take it off, it's white, right? Which is kind of what the book is also about. I am already obsessed by this book. I can see this being a 5-star read. I'm seriously interested in how this book will be wrapped up, like how the story will end, I guess. So I've never hated a main character as much as I have hated this person. And I think that is very intentional, of course. I feel like Rebecca, the author of this book, basically just like took everything she hated about the publishing industry and then just like stuffed it into this book, and it's very noticeable. There are just so many wonderful little quotes in here, one of which I thought was really crazy, but I now see author efforts have nothing to do with the book's success. Bestsellers are chosen. Nothing you do matters. You just get to enjoy the perks along the way. The pretense of this book, we have two friends. We have basically an AAPI author who has been writing about Asian history and so on, and she basically dies in front of her white friend, and her white friend basically steals her story and then publishes it in her own name. During the editing process of that book, they kind of take out like all of the stuff that her AAPI author friend like did, obviously, and it's just, I mean, just the comment on it is like such a white perspective on so many things. For example, it's about the fact that the author originally used like Chinese terms in with Chinese characters in the book. The white author and her editor are talking about it. She's done this in all her novels. Her fans praise such tactics as brilliant and authentic. A diaspora writer's necessary intervention against the whiteness of English. But it's not good craft. It makes the prose frustrating and inaccessible. I'm convinced it is all in service of making Athena, the AAPI author, and her readers feel smarter than they are. We also softened some of the white characters. No, it's not as bad as you think. Athena's original text is almost embarrassingly biased. The French and British soldiers are cartoonishly racist. I get she's trying to make a point about discrimination within the Allied front, but these scenes are so hackneyed that they defy belief. It throws the reader out of the story. Instead, we switch one of the white bullies to a Chinese character, and one of the more vocal Chinese laborers to a sympathetic white farmer. So they're basically just whitewashing it and making like a white savior thing out of it, and it's just fascinating to me. I don't know. All of the bookmarks I've made, it's quite a lot. Let's compare that to Sea of Tranquility, which also has beautiful quotes in it, definitely. But yeah, so I'm definitely getting my mark in. Good morning, everyone. I just finished Yellowface. I think last night I read up until page 200, and then this morning I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna finish the book. It's 10 now, so technically I'm starting work a bit late, but I'm freelance, so who the hell cares? I mean, I don't think I've ever hated a protagonist of a story more than I hated June in this book, which is the name of this person. But at the same time, it was an absolute page turner. So at the same time, I was like, I need to know what happens. I need to know what happens. There was a bit of a part in the middle, like 30 pages, where I was like, oh, I don't see where this is going. You know, I'm not quite sure. Is this maybe going to rant out a bit, or might it be a bit too long? But then it kind of went around that corner fairly quickly. and it felt like, no, it's totally fine, you know. I mean, you heard about what it's about. June stole basically the manuscript of a book from Athena, who is a minority author, and at the same time there's like an interesting question behind this whole thing, because they're talking about Athena's methods also. So Athena is a daughter of a Chinese immigrant. As far as we like understand from the story, she immigrated with her mother to the United States from China, and they kind of reflect back on Athena's method of writing. So they would say that very often Athena would take like trauma and problems that other people had, and she would write about those stories and basically make a story out of that. So in a way, a lot of the characters in these books feel like that Athena had already stolen from them. And there are a lot of people every once in a while that online that come up that like talk about how Athena had been talking to like their grandparents or something about being a POW or some form of traumatic experience in war, and then Athena would write about that without crediting that it was someone else's experience. And so I thought that was also a really interesting question of like, what is actual representation? You know, she was a minority author, but she was someone who was obviously very wealthy because she went to English boarding schools. And so the question is, can she really show the experiences of others, and is it okay that she doesn't credit that these are experiences of other people and not just out of her imagination? Or is that actual representation because she's the first generation that's able to write this? And the other thing that was super cool about this book is that I feel like the online sphere was really represented well, because June is quite obsessed about reading about herself online, you know, on Goodreads, on Twitter, and all of those spaces. I mean, I feel like authors definitely need to be online a lot today, and Rebecca, the author of this book, is also online a lot. I mean, I see her TikToks and everything. While I personally, as a reader, enjoy that a lot, because I feel like, hey, you know, it's really cool to be able to interact with authors or just to see their opinions on things. I really enjoy that, but at the same time, of course, on their side, that's a lot of pressure. If you have to write the book and then you also have to do social media, like that's a lot of stuff to do. She's a 5-star author for me so far, and wow, thank you for these books.